Anything that is being done for performance or being done to be noticed or being done with intentions that are not for the good of all they're being revealed here as well. It's all coming out, and we get to kind of sit back and watch and find out where our truth lies with all of this new knowledge that's coming in. Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to The Real Sky. I'm Dr. Danny, physician, astrologer. Today, we are going to talk about the April 1st full moon. The sun will be conjunct Neptune and Saturn in Pisces, while the moon is in Virgo. So I'll show you the sky. I will read to you the chart for the general information, the general energy, and then I'll take you by your rising sign through this full moon so that you know how it might affect you. It's the most specific I can get without actually doing a reading for you. So I'll save the announcements till we get to the presentation, and we'll get right into it. The full moon is one of the most significant astrological events that occurs every month. It is the top of the breath for the lunar cycle. It's the most visible part of the cycle that we can see. And indeed, the night of the full moon, as the moon is rising, you'll see her very brightly. You can even cast a moon shadow if your night is clear. And so where is this moon? You might hear that the moon is in Scorpio. You might hear that the moon's in Libra. But where is the moon? If we use this program, stellarium-web.org, we can see that the moon is right in the heart of Virgo, the divine birthing mother sky goddess. There it is. So we'll talk about what this means in general for energy, but we're looking at some very powerful creation, destructive energy. It's almost as if Virgo, because she spans 48, 49 degrees of the sky, like the first half of her transit feels okay. And then the second half, it feels really intense, as if it's moving towards a bigger energy. And I think the Ophiuchus and Scorpio energy is what it heads towards, which is why it's so intense. So we have moon over there in Virgo, and then on the other side of the sky, we see our sun conjunct Neptune and Saturn, although separating from them in the fish, in the stars of Pisces. This is not an Aries sun, not yet, not until April 21st. That's when the sun will actually be in constellation of Aries. But today, Venus does enter the star field of Aries. So that is a 17-day transit. We will go through that, through the Venus work that we're doing. So we are going to read this and this moon in the chart. But let me show you how we get our charts, because it's really not that complicated. If you just zoom out and get the ecliptic in full view, because that's what this red line is, it's the sun's ecliptic, it gives us the positions of the luminaries and the stars behind them in such a way that it looks like a birth chart, doesn't it? We have Gemini here, Taurus, Aries, Pisces, Aquarius, Capricorn, Sagittarius, Scorpio and Ophiuchus, Libra, Virgo, Leo the Lion, Cancer. So you see, it's the same exact zodiac that we use, but we're using the star fields. And there it is, moon and sun in Pisces. So let me take you to the presentation so that we can review the general energy of this full moon. I think that this moon is going to show us a fork in our path. Our path is going to split this month. And I believe that the decision point will culminate around the April 1st full moon. And I'll explain why as we get into the astrology, and I'll be more specific with you when we talk about your rising sign. But this is April 1st, which is why it's the full moon. Some amazing things that you need to know about. I recently had an interesting journey with YouTube. I've been monetized for probably about 2 or 3 years now, and I've never been punished for anything on YouTube. I've never done anything wrong. I have a variety of content, from shorts to live streams to long form, and I interact with my community live, very much a real person doing real work out here. And I woke up on the day before the new moon of the beginning of this magician's moon on the 17th, and I was notified that my monetization was suspended, meaning channel memberships are suspended, ads are suspended, all of that, which is fine money-wise. Like YouTube doesn't even pay that much. But what really bothered me is the fact that they suspended me for inauthentic content using an AI algorithm. Right? So that's just funny. When you think about it, when you step back and think about it, it's like, oh, You let your inauthentic AI decide whether or not I was authentic. How the tables have so much turned in the last few years. So I submitted an appeal, and within 24 hours, they literally changed their mind and gave me my monetization back. But during that time, I was wondering, I was like, well, if it takes 2 weeks, that's a lifetime in social media. So when they gave me my monetization back, I declined considering memberships over there, and we started a Patreon. So long story short, YouTube basically gave me permission to leave their membership platform and to use Patreon to reignite my community. So here is the appeal video. So for any of you that might be dealing with this, if you have this is available on Patreon. You don't have to be a member. You can be a free member, or you can be a Stargazer member, which replaces what we were doing here on YouTube. So for those of you that are Stargazer memberships, I encourage you to pop on over to Patreon and look for Real Sky Astrology. The link's in the description below, and join me over there. Join us as a community. I think we're going to have a lot more fun. There's a lot less rules. So I look forward to seeing you all over there, whether you pay or not. All right. So how to connect with me, free support for YouTube. You can still like the video, hype the video, subscribe, share. We have a Facebook group called the Fellowship of 13 Signs. And of course, you can join Patreon for free or as a Stargazer for $5.28 a month. You can get a reading from me if you need to. You can take a course so you can learn more about this astrology. And of course, you can check out my book, The 13th Sign, Ophiuchus, and the Astrology They Don't Want You to See. This is a wonderful book. This will deprogram you and help you understand why we need to reconnect with the real sky. It will also show you a whole new journey through the zodiac that I call the Cosmic Healer's Journey. And then if you want to decode Ophiuchus in your chart, what house it's in, what planets are there, what that means for you, that's in this book as well. All right, April 1st, the full moon. So let's start with the basic chart. This is precisely what we were looking at when we zoomed out and looked at the red circle ecliptic in the night sky. You saw the moon on one side, sun on the other. These were the stars in the background behind said moon and sun. So let's break this down. We have Virgo, the birthing mother sky goddess, everything earth, everything practical, everything in its place, to Pisces, which is the mystical, the dreamland, the subconscious. A lot of planets here in Pisces. Venus just left. So our intuition might feel a little bit more on fire today as the full moon approaches. But still, we have Chiron here, Sun here, Saturn, Neptune, Mars just entered, and in about a week, Mercury will be here as well. So a lot of energy. Everything's culminating around the last Mars-Mercury conjunction, and they will be right here sandwiched between Neptune and Saturn. That's what's coming for us right over this sun. So we have another hard lunar cycle. It started with the sun and moon right here, sandwiched between these two guys. And the moon has made its way around to its fullness in Virgo, reflecting the Pisces light of that sun through this. So it's a very, it's one of the most dichotomous relationships, or most polarizing relationships I feel like we have in our zodiac. So we feel pulled, to express ourselves in peace and love and bliss and transcendence. And yet we are also pulled back towards responsibility, maturity, taking care of things, being present. So this is our moon. This is the tension we're having this month. This is all leading up to the next moon, which is the Adept's moon, and it will be conjunct Chiron, sun and moon. So there's that opposition. It does involve Saturn and Neptune, of course, because the new moon was conjunct both of these energies. We have this conjunction. We've had it for a long time. They're now separating, but it's always been about sort of spiritual devotion, pulling away illusions, grasping onto something concrete within the illusion, being able to crystallize your wildest dreams during this time. It's really been quite fantastic for some and also difficult for others. So again, another cycle with this theme very much encompassing what we are dealing with as a collective. Let's look at the aspects to sun and moon. The first one here that I'd like to mention is Jupiter. Jupiter is forming what we call a T-square. This is two squares, one to the moon and one to the sun, while the moon and sun are in their natural full moon opposition. So anytime you see this is a major lesson. This is a huge tension. You get pulled in one direction or the other direction. Jupiter adds expansion to that. Jupiter's path to enlightenment is through faith, optimism, abundance, spiritual evolution, elevation. And it's still in the stars of Gemini. And this is a very creative space. This means that our mental acuity is expanding. Our ability to see patterns is expanding. Our ability to give and receive knowledge is expanding. We're being generous with what we know, right? So we're being pulled back emotionally, and we're being pushed forward in the way we express ourselves. So it feels like we're being split in two, literally, from our inner and our outer selves to expand into this mental state. Sometimes just letting go of the mental energy and just allowing your mind to do what it has to do, run its course, and then letting it rest can be very helpful in expanding. The moon's very quick, so it won't be square to Jupiter for long, and it does this every month, so we feel this. We feel like an emotional need to expand. We feel like it's our purpose and our destiny to expand, but we don't necessarily have to. We can surrender. We can give in to the need to rest, to relax, to analyze our psychological landscape, but also to balance it with the physical world. So that can be hard, especially if you're torn. If you already know how to balance these two things, you're just getting more information on how to do that in a practical way. Jupiter's also making a very nice aspect to the lunar north node in Aquarius. These are both air signs. So it's expansive ideas about what's possible. That's really what that is. And this north node, this is Rahu. It wants to drive you towards that destiny. So you might have an amazing idea that you really want to pursue, but how do you square it with, the physical world and the spiritual world? How do you do that? That may be sort of the crux here. One of the things that we're working on as the moon moves through its fullness towards the top of its breath. What actually gets decided here? Which way do we go? There's also nice aspects to the sun and moon from Black Moon Lilith in Scorpio. Black Moon Lilith reminds me of the void space, the quantum potential, where electrons and neutrons and protons spark in and out of existence even before they exist. And it's a point of high energy and high chaos, but also high potential. Mythologically speaking, it's the part of us that we banish, that we'd rather not have people see. But Lilith here has been asking us to really dig deep and excavate where our truth lies, where that solitary place of powerful creation begins for us, and how far it can actually go. So feel into the spaces, feel into things that you can let go of here in the physical world and allow your intuition to guide you. That's an open door here. So if you ask spirit, you ask your body, you ask source, what can I let go of here? What's necessary? What do I need here? What do I not need? This is really, really great. And all you have to do is ask. What's a little harder to stop or, is inevitable is usually trine energy. It's a flow between Sun, Saturn, and Neptune and Black Moon Lilith. And this has also been going on for a long time between Saturn and Neptune at any rate. So it means that you can create whatever you want. Sky's the limit as long as it comes from your truth. Anything lower than that, anything that is being done for performance or being done to be noticed or being done with intentions that are not for the good of all they're being revealed here as well. So that's why a lot of things are coming to the surface in our collective knowing about, forces that may have been controlling us, forces that may have been telling us stories. It's all coming out. It's all coming out. And we get to kind of sit back and watch and find out where our truth lies with all of this new knowledge that's coming in. So this can be a very useful, very helpful trine if you're willing to do that work and, really assess where you are when all this comes out. Like, where do you stand? What do you believe in? Because Lilith also makes a T-square herself, just like Jupiter does. But she's doing it to our lunar nodes. Again, another longer transit in general. We're all feeling that. Mercury just did a little dance around the north node with retrograde and going back. Mars just moved over the north node not too long ago. We've been urged to, kind of come out and discuss it, reveal these things, make some changes that can propel us towards our destiny, and also to let go of things that are no longer serving us, especially if it's to please. We don't want to be pleasers. We want to stand in our own truth and shine and radiate and work towards a better future. And while this work may be painful, getting here to the shadows, really understanding who you are, why you're here, what your mission is, once you understand that, nothing can stop you. Even demonetization for 24 hours. Nothing can stop you because you are unfuckable with when you know where you stand with this energy and which way you want to go with it. Now, granted, there's some people who need to be selfish right now, But see, she'll reveal that for you. She'll help you see that. She'll pull away the illusions so that you know who you really are, so that you can be more selfish and focus on yourself right now. Because what you've been doing is giving way too much, doing way too much, leaking your energy out there. And you don't want to do that anymore. So you need to see that. You need to see that in yourself and take control back. So very powerful moon for a lot of different reasons. And there's likely two different paths here. Not only because of this square, but because of this square. So we get like two decision points almost during this full moon. Like what's true for us and what do we want to do about it, right? Based on that truth. It's very, very interesting. There's some nice aspect to the lunar nodes. For example, Venus is making a trine of her new home in Aries to the south node. It gives you, it puts kind of a fiery sweetness to standing in your own power. Like I said, this can be about becoming selfish because you need to be. Venus in Aries, ruled by Mars, the I am. If you need to be selfish and take care of you, Venus is here to nurture you, here to do that, here to stand up for you. Two fire signs, you're not going to put up with anything that isn't truly authentically you. You're just not with that Venus here, not with this black moon Lilith squaring the lunar nodes. It's like the divine feminine powers unite to make you confront your true self and actually stand in that power at the same time. Really quite amazing. And if you fight all this, it doesn't feel good. You're confronted with some truths that you didn't think were true. You see things that are super ugly and you have to process that and integrate it. But if you do it consciously, if you see this coming, if you make these choices now, then it can be easier and good things will come to you. Good things will come. Venus also squares Pluto. Typically, this is what they call the worst aspect for Venus to have. I would argue that maybe a square to Chiron is probably worse because when Pluto is involved in anything that is destructive, it's usually for your own good, even though your ego doesn't realize it. And there can be a lot of ego with Aries energy and Venus. So you might be cut down a peg here a little bit. It might feel uncomfortable to be, quote unquote, put in your place, but you may also be coming from a place that has illusion or delusion. That's that Neptune influence. That's what it's doing. And so that can sting a little, but again, it's for you. Everything Pluto does is for you. Alternatively, Pluto is destruction, but it can be a controlled and loving destruction. Like almost like, this is a terrible example, but you have a suffering pet and, so you take it to the vet and you do the right thing. You put them out of their suffering. You put them out of their misery. You let the veterinarian end their life. And that's kind of like Pluto Venus in a square. It's a tough decision, but it's a tender decision and it's for the good of the outcome. Like the outcome is supposed to be or is intended to be better than if you didn't do it. So that's really kind of the crux of, the Venus square Pluto energy. If you have that in your chart natally, you learn a lot through energies like that, making tough decisions that require, patience, love, compassion, creativity even, right? I think we're getting to the final aspects here of this moon. And this has been a long-standing configuration where Pluto's been trying to Saturn, Neptune, and so has Uranus. In about a month, Uranus will pick up its trine back to Pluto again. And this has always been for me about tremendous support and opportunity to have the older archons that are more concerned for our collective evolution and well-being really support us on a personal level, especially as these moons have been moving through these very intense parts of the sky. First, we had galactic center around Christmas. Then we had the January new moon around Pluto. Then we had an eclipse. Then we had Saturn and Neptune involved, and that's this lunation. And then next month, we're going to have Chiron new moon. So we're literally like getting like hit and knocked down a peg and like shown what's real and having to integrate and deal with that for one more lunar cycle after this one. But these planets continue to support that growth. And the final new moon after Chiron will be around Uranus, and Uranus is a much easier energy sometimes. We'll be ready for whatever Uranus brings us after the gamut of the galactic center, Pluto, an eclipse, Saturn, Neptune, and Chiron. We'll be ready for that, I think. Pluto to Neptune is surrendering to transformation. It's enabling your creative power. This sextile over here is surrendering to the metamorphosis, kind of going with the flow of whatever happens, riding the choppy waves. In other words, not trying to control it. Sometimes this is also an opportunity to become an expert at something. Like, can you become the expert? Can you take action in that? Mars is involved in this sextile too, to Uranus. So what action can you take about becoming the expert with this new gift of being able to create whatever, sky's the limit. What's your next step? What action are you going to take? Mars being in Pisces, there's not a lot of motivation unless it's truly inspired, unless it's for a higher purpose or a higher goal. So really tap into that for yourselves this month as well, as this full moon culminates. All right, just a quick word on your rising sign and your rulerships for your chart. This is how we decide your chart ruler. So for example, if you have Aquarius rising on this side of your chart, Uranus is your chart ruler. Capricorn rising, Saturn rules your chart. Jupiter, it rules Sagittarius. So Sagittarius, we're over here where Aquarius is, you could claim Jupiter as the ruler of your chart. It gets a little confusing when we get to this part of the sky. There's a whole lot of discussion, even debate, I would say, about what rules this. It's very complicated. A lot of deep energy. You can go back and forth through this space. I really love Venus for Virgo, but the traditional ruler is Mercury. I love Mercury for Libra, and the traditional ruler is Venus. The traditional ruler of Scorpio was Mars, but this whole star field includes Ophiuchus now, and Chiron rules Ophiuchus, so we give Pluto the rulership of Scorpio. Scorpio and Ophiuchus, if you are that sign rising, you guys can change yourself anyway, so it really doesn't matter. You can pick any one of these, I think, if you want to. Before we get into the rising sign readings, I'd like to just talk to you momentarily about your chart rulers. So when you find your ascendant, which I'm going to show you how to do shortly, each ascendant is associated with a particular planet. And because it's your ascendant, it makes that planet that rules that sign your chart ruler. So for example, this chart, the way it's laid out, the eastern horizon is Aquarius. So Uranus is the chart ruler. Pisces gets Neptune. You can traditionally use Jupiter. Mars gets Aries. Venus gets Taurus. Mercury gets Gemini. Moon gets Cancer. Sun gets Leo. Okay. And then we have Mercury or Venus for Virgo, Venus or Mercury for Libra. And then Ophiuchus rising. You're a very changeable soul. So you can choose from either one of these three chart rulers for this star field. Sometimes Mars works nicely if you're doing Joydish type of work. But if you really want to get into the energy of that, you might want to use both. So either one of these three can be your chart ruler. I will let you decide. So let me show you how to find your ascendant. That way you know which planet to look at. Now, your birth time is essential if you want that piece of data, okay? If you want to know what your rising sign is and your chart ruler, you will need to know your birth time. But all is not lost. So for those of you that do know your birth time, you can use stellarium-web.org. And then you can also look into the eastern sky. Make sure you put the constellations and the artwork in there so you can see which one it is. You can also go to drdanny.com free chart. I don't even need your email. Just put in your details and then you'll look to the left side of the chart that's generated and it will give you the rising sign. Okay? But for those of you that don't know your birth time, you can use your sun sign. You can still use this free chart. You can still look at where your sun lies, but just go with the sign wherever your sun is. This will be somewhat accurate for you in terms of the readings. You can also listen to all of them. One of them or two of them may resonate very nicely for what's going on in your life. And so that may give you a clue. And then also you may just in general resonate with a planet more than you would other planets. So for example, if you really resonate with Jupiter, but you don't know your birth time, you could potentially either be a Pisces or a Sagittarius rising. So feel into that, like whatever planet really, resonates with you might be it. All the timestamps are below, and we are going to start with lovely, beautiful, luscious Virgo Rising. Virgo Rising, this moon lies directly on your ascendant. So sun and moon are the axis of self and other. You're feeling this in your body, in your own energy, and in your day-to-day capacity. You may even have a heightened awareness of what you're holding and how you've been carrying it. The moon here in Virgo is illuminating you, while the sun in Pisces in your 7th house brings your relationships into focus. But what's very clear in this chart is that what's showing up in your relationship is directly connected to what's happening in your daily life. Saturn, Neptune, and Mars are all moving through your 6th house in Pisces. This is your routine, your effort, your habits, the way you constantly show up. Neptune can absolutely blur the boundaries here. Saturn adds responsibility and Mars adds action and energy. Together, this can look like giving a lot, staying busy, holding things together, and continuing forward even when something feels off. However, over time, this creates a pattern, and the full moon is bringing awareness into that. So your body's responding. You might feel where your energy has been stretched, where your system is tired, or where something simply does not feel sustainable anymore. This is very useful information Your body is showing you what needs attention. Jupiter in Gemini in your 10th house is squaring both of these energies. So it expands your awareness of your direction, of your work, and how you're showing up in the world. There can be a lot of ideas here, a lot of movement mentally, and a sense of wanting to grow or shift something in your outer life. But because there's a T-square, you're pulled in different directions. And it may be that part of your daily life isn't fully aligned with your larger vision. So the more scattered things feel, the more important it becomes to simplify. Mercury direct in Aquarius, near Mars and near the North Node, forming a trine back to Jupiter. This is really important support. It brings clarity, communication, and pattern recognition. You are ready to see what needs to change. You may even find that the words come more easily now, or that conversations begin to clarify what's been sitting under the surface. So the nodes are active here also. Leo 11th house and Aquarius 5th house. And Black Moon Lilith is forming a T-square to this. So for you, Lilith is sitting at the edge of your 2nd and 3rd house, which brings attention to your voice, your values, and the way you express what matters to you. There might be something you've been aware of but have not fully said. And it doesn't really have to be dramatic, but it's significant. So truth is present and it's close to the surface. The moon sextiles Black Moon Lilith just for a short time, while Lilith is also trine to the sun and Saturn and Neptune. This is a support for honesty. So when something comes up now, it has a sense of clarity and depth to it, and you're able to recognize what's real. Venus has just entered Aries in your 7th house. This is forming a square to Pluto in your 4th house, bringing a deeper layer into your relationships. There can be themes around power, control, or long-standing dynamics that are rooted in your foundation or your sense of security. You may notice where something feels intense, or where there's a need to shift how power is being held in a relationship. At the same time, Venus is trine to your South Node and sextile to your North Node. This can bring familiarity. There can be a pull towards what is known and what's been comfortable in the past. This is where awareness becomes important, because what's familiar is not always what is aligned. Mars in Pisces in your 6th house is also forming a sextile to Uranus, who's in your 8th house. This is opening the door for change and how you're using your energy, and also how you're engaging with the deeper exchanges, whether they're emotional or material. The opportunity here is to shift your approach in a way that feels more supportive and sustainable. Pluto in that 4th house is also forming a sextile to Saturn and Neptune, suggesting that the deeper restructuring happening within you has so much support. You're not starting from nothing. You're working with something that has already evolved at a foundational level. So Virgo rising, as this moon unfolds, there is a very clear moment of awareness. You can see the pattern in your daily life. You can feel it, and you can recognize how it's influencing your relationships and your direction. But there's also a clear choice here. Continuing with the same pattern keeps things familiar, but adjusting how you're showing up, even in small ways, opens a completely different path. Chiron in your 7th house, just being in contact with Venus, you already know where the sensitivity is. And this full moon gives you an awareness ahead of time so that you can approach that next phase with intention rather than reaction. There's a moment here where you, Virgo rising, can bring your attention back to your own rhythm in a very grounded way. So notice what your body is telling you. Notice where your energy feels supported and where it does not. So you can feel which direction is asking for you to shift. Lovely. Leo rising, you are next. The sun rules your chart. You have got Moon in your 2nd house and Sun, Saturn, and Neptune in your 8th house. So your attention's naturally being pulled towards questions of value, resources, and exchange. The Moon in Virgo in your 2nd house, bringing a very grounded awareness to what you have, what you're working with, and what feels good in the material and energetic world. Sun in Pisces in the 8th house, though, is not alone. Saturn, Neptune, Chiron, they're all here, bringing a deeper layer into focus. So shared resources, emotional entanglements, the way your energy's been merging with others over time. Some of this may have felt unclear or fluid with Neptune involved, because Saturn has required some kind of responsibility and endurance. But Chiron also adds a sensitivity here, so there is likely an awareness of where something has been tender or where a pattern has been repeating. So as this full moon builds from here to here, you're able to see more clearly how these two areas are interacting. What you're holding personally in your 2nd house is directly connected to what you're sharing or carrying in the 8th. And there can be a realization about what you're responsible for versus what you've taken on that may not fully belong to you anymore. Jupiter in your 11th house, expanding your awareness of networks, your community, and your future vision. There can be a lot of movement here. A lot of ideas, conversations, and possibilities opening up through other people through your broader vision. Also, this full moon is forming a T-square with Jupiter, and there can be a sense of pressure between what you're holding in personally and what's opening collectively. It may feel like your energy is being stretched in multiple directions, especially if your sense of value or stability is not fully grounded. Mercury direct in Aquarius with the North Node is forming a trine to Jupiter, which brings clarity through communication. This is one of the ways this full moon becomes very precise. Conversations can reveal a whole lot right now, and you might find that something becomes obvious simply by speaking it out loud or by hearing someone else respond. The information's already here, and it should become easier to recognize. The South Node in your first house in Leo and the North Node in Aquarius in your seventh, this is a natural pull towards familiar ways of being, towards relying on yourself or staying within a known identity. At the same time, there's movement towards a different kind of engagement in your relationships, one that's more aware, more balanced, and more reciprocal. Black Moon Lilith in your fourth house is forming a T-square to the lunar nodes, which brings something deeper up from your foundation. This can connect to your home, your emotional roots or patterns that have been established over a long period of time. There's an honesty here that's difficult to ignore. With the moon forming a sextile to Lilith and Lilith trine to the Pisces cluster, the truth is accessible. You are able to recognize what feels real, even if it has not been fully spoken before. Venus has just entered Aries in your ninth house and is forming a square to Pluto in your sixth house. There's a desire to move forward, to expand your perspective, or to approach something differently. But there can also be tension with your daily responsibilities or your work environment. This can show where your current structure is limiting your growth and where adjustments in your routine could support a different direction. Mars in Pisces, also in your seventh house, forms a sextile to Uranus in Taurus in your ninth. This opens a pathway for change through your relationships and your perspective. There could be an opportunity here to respond differently, to shift how you engage, or to allow a new understanding to come in that changes how you move forward. Uranus is also in supportive aspect to Saturn and Neptune, and so is Pluto. So there's a deeper restructuring happening that has stability behind it. Leo rising, as this full moon comes to its peak, there's a clear awareness for you on how your energy is being used, what's being exchanged, and where the balance is off. You can feel where something's too much, and where something's not enough, and where something needs to be adjusted. So there's the choice present for you. Continue the same pattern to keep things familiar, even if it feels uneven, or we make an adjustment on how you hold your value and how you engage in these exchanges. Chiron in your eighth house, this is the energy of the next new moon, shows that there's a healing process connected to these themes. And with Venus now moving towards that, or has already gone over that conjunction, you have already sensed where that healing is needed. This full moon brings the awareness ahead of its time, so that you can approach that next phase with more clarity. Leo rising, this is your moment to come back into your own sense of value in a very grounded way, and to notice where your energy feels supported and where it does not. And so from here, you can feel which direction is asking for you. Hello, Cancer rising. This full moon is activating your third and your ninth house. I call this the sacred compass. This brings attention to how you're thinking on a daily basis and how those thoughts connect to your larger beliefs. The moon in Virgo in your third house, this creates a clear awareness of that internal dialogue. You might notice what you're repeating mentally and how you're interpreting situations and where your attention naturally goes. This is a very practical and observational moon for you. It shows you patterns without exaggerating them. Over here in your ninth house, you have Sun, Saturn, Neptune, Chiron, reflecting the belief systems that have been forming over time. Neptune has allowed certain ideas or narratives to take shape, while Saturn has been applying pressure to determine what's stable and what isn't. Chiron will bring awareness to where something in your understanding has been sensitive or unresolved. As the full moon builds, the connection between these two areas becomes more apparent. The way you think day to day is reinforcing the way you understand life overall. Jupiter is in Gemini in your 12th house, expanding inward activity. Thoughts, memories, underlying patterns will feel more present. Jupiter T-squares Sun and Moon. So there can be a sense of mental movement or internal pressure, especially if something has not yet been fully processed. Mercury direct in Aquarius in your 8th house next to the North Node, very close to Mars, bringing a deeper clarity to the patterns, especially those involving shared energy, emotional entanglements, or transformation. Mercury also trines to Jupiter in Gemini. What has been internal now can be understood more clearly. The nodes also emphasize a shift. The South Node in the 2nd house in Leo reflects familiar patterns around self-reliance and stability. The North Node in Aquarius in your 8th house points toward change, particularly in how you engage with deeper emotional or energetic exchanges. And then Black Moon Lilith T-squares the nodes from your 5th house. There's an awareness here of something that is felt very strongly, whether it's through like creativity, desire, emotional expression. Moon forms sextile to Black Moon Lilith, and Lilith trines the Pisces placements. So this awareness is supported and easier to recognize without distortion. Venus has just entered Aries into your 10th house. This brings movement into your direction and your visibility. At the same time, Venus squares Pluto in Capricorn in your 7th house, which may highlight tension or necessary adjustments within relationships or external dynamics. Mars in your 8th house in Pisces is forming a sextile to Uranus in Taurus in your 10th. This creates an opening for change that connects your internal processing with your external direction. Uranus is also sextile to Saturn and Neptune, and so is Pluto. This suggests that these changes are part of a broader restructuring that already has a consistency behind it. So Cancer rising, as this full moon peaks, there is a very clear awareness of how your thoughts, your communications, and your beliefs are connected. You can see where something aligns and where it does not. There's also a point of decision here. Continuing with the same patterns will maintain what's already in place, but adjusting how you think and interpret may shift your overall direction over time. The next new moon is on Chiron. Chiron's in your 9th house, and it shows you that this process involves healing with your belief system. Venus gave you a clue to that just a week ago. This shift can begin to influence how you move forward externally. So Cancer rising, there's a moment to observe your thoughts here very carefully and recognize which ones are shaping your path. And then from there, the next step is clear. Welcome to the Real Sky, Gemini Rising. Mercury is your chart ruler, and you are experiencing this full moon in your 4th house and your 10th house. This brings attention to the relationship between your inner foundation and your external direction. This Virgo 4th house moon creates a clear awareness of your internal environment. So this can show up through home, your emotional baseline, or the space you return to when everything else is quiet. You might notice what feels stable, what's supportive, and what does not feel fully settled. Across from you, the sun is in Pisces in your 10th house. You also have Saturn and Neptune here in your 9th house, and Chiron's also over here in your 10th house. This places your external role, your visibility, and your direction into clear focus. Neptune has shaped how this path has been imagined, but Saturn applies the pressure and the responsibility. And at the same time, Chiron brings an awareness to where something in this area has required growth or adjustment. So as this full moon builds, the connection between your inner state and your outer direction becomes apparent. What's happening internally is directly influencing how you show up externally. Jupiter is in Gemini in your 1st house, expanding your presence and your awareness of yourself within your own environment. There can be a sense of increased movement, ideas, opportunities, but there's a T-square here to Sun and Moon. So there can also be moments where your attention is pulled in multiple directions. And it's not for lack of direction, but it does require awareness of where your energy is being placed. Mercury direct in Aquarius in your 9th house, conjunct the North Node, and still close to Mars brings a clarity to your perspective, your understanding, and the way that you interpret your own path. Mercury forms a trine back to Jupiter, which is squaring the Sun and Moon. This means what you're realizing can be applied directly. Insights will translate into action way more easily now. The nodes highlight a shift between familiar thinking patterns and a broader perspective. The South Node in 3rd house reflects habits in communication and daily thinking that might feel natural but repetitive and boring, while the North Node in Aquarius in your 9th is asking for a wider view and one that's less reactive and more intentional. But Black Moon Lilith continues her long-standing T-square to the lunar nodes, bringing an awareness to your daily routines, your patterns, how you manage your energy. There might be something here you feel very strongly about, especially in how your time and effort are being used. Moon forms a sextile to Black Moon Lilith very briefly, so it might become easier to recognize these things more clearly. Venus has just entered Aries, and she's completing your 10th house, bringing movement into your direction and visibility. She also squares Pluto at the cusp of your 7th and 8th house. This could bring attention to deeper dynamics involving control, shared resources, relationships, partnerships, and collaborations that have influenced your path. Mars is in Pisces in the 9th house, forming a sextile to Uranus in Taurus in your 11th. This creates an opening for change that connects your perspective with your future direction and your networks. Uranus also supports Saturn and Neptune, and Pluto also supports that Pisces cluster. This suggests that these shifts are actually part of a larger restructuring that has a depth and a consistency behind it. So Gemini Rising, as this full moon peaks, there is a clear awareness of how your internal foundation and your external direction are interacting. You can recognize where something is aligned and where adjustments may be needed. Your decision points here too, right? Maintaining your current patterns will continue your current trajectory. Adjusting how you structure your internal environment may show up how you move externally. The next new moon, Chiron, will be in your 10th house. We've already had Venus cross over this space. So it can show you that there's a process involving growth, and there's already a sense of forward movement in this arena. So Gemini Rising, this is your moment to notice how your internal state is shaping your external path and to make adjustments where they're needed. From there, the next step becomes clear. Hello, beautiful Taurus Rising, my soul tribe. So this is also my rising sign. Venus is our chart ruler, and we are experiencing this as a 5th and 11th house phenomenon. So how we radiate and how we resonate. It's the relationship between our personal expression and the larger spaces that we participate in. So for the moon, there's a very clear awareness of what we're creating, what we're enjoying, and how we are expressing ourselves. We can see where something feels aligned and where it feels forced or overworked. This is a very tangible sign, and it shows up in what we are choosing to do with our time and energy. Across the way here, Sun in Pisces in the 11th house, joined by Chiron and closely connected to Saturn and Neptune. This brings networks, communities, and our future direction into focus. We can see where we've been holding a vision, where we've been navigating uncertainty, and where there has been a responsibility tied to that vision over time. As this full moon builds, we can see how these two areas are connected. We are creating personally, and that's either supporting our larger direction or pulling us away from it. Jupiter's blessing our 2nd house, expanding our awareness around value, resources, and what we are building. There's movement here, ideas, opportunities, and a sense of expansion. But the T-square to Sun and Moon can also feel where our energy or attention could become scattered if we are not grounded in what actually matters. Mercury, direct in Aquarius in our 10th house, connected to the North Node and very close to Mars, bringing clarity to our direction, our visibility, and the decisions we're making about how we show up in the world. Mercury is trine to Jupiter, back to our 2nd house. So what we're understanding here can be applied directly to what we're building. The nodes are also very active. It's 4th and 10th house. The 4th house reflecting familiar patterns around home, comfort, and what feels safe. And the North Node in Aquarius in the 10th is asking for movement into a different level of responsibility and visibility. We can feel the difference between staying where things are and stepping into something that requires more for us. Black Moon Lilith in Scorpio in the 7th house forms a T-square to the nodes. There's a whole new awareness into our relationships. We can see where dynamics feel balanced and where something is more intense or unresolved. This moon sextile to Black Moon Lilith and Lilith sextile to Sun, Saturn, and Neptune gives us an opportunity to recognize what's actually present without needing to react to it. Venus has just entered Aries in our 11th house, so there's movement here in our connections, our collaborations, and our future direction. At the same time, Venus is square to Pluto in our 8th house in Capricorn, which brings in awareness to deeper layers of exchange, power, and shared resources that could be influencing how we move forward. Mars is in Pisces now in our 10th house, active next to Mercury and the North Node and forming a sextile to Taurus in our 12th house. This is an opportunity opening for change that connects our external direction with what's happening internally. Uranus also supports Saturn and Neptune, and so does Pluto. This cluster shows us that there's a larger part that's restructuring that's already underway. As this full moon peaks, we can clearly see how our creative energy, our personal expression, and our participation in larger spaces are interacting. We can see where something is aligned and where it is not. So, Taurus Rising, this is our point of decision. We can continue engaging in the same patterns, creating in the same way, and participating in the same spaces, or we can adjust. The next new moon will be over Chiron in our 11th house, showing us that there's a healing process connected to our place within the community and our future direction. And Venus is giving us a clue since she just moved through here, so we can probably already feel the shift. For us, this is a moment to be honest about what we are creating, where we are placing our energy, and whether it is actually supporting where we are going. And from there, the next step becomes clear. Aries Rising. Mars is your chart ruler, and Sun and Moon are activating your 6th house and your 12th house. For me, this is the axis of karma and enlightenment, right? So the 6th house speaks to what we still feel like we need to do. It brings attention to your relationship between your daily life and your inner world, where you're already enlightened. So awareness of your routines, your work, how you're managing your energy day to day. You might notice what's efficient, what's sustainable, and what's requiring more effort than it should. The moon highlights the systems you're operating within and how well they're actually working for you. Sun in Pisces in your 12th house, joined by Chiron and closely connected to Saturn and Neptune. This brings your inner landscape into focus. There's patterns here that have been forming for a very long time, and some of which may have not even been fully visible until now. Neptune has allowed certain things to remain undefined, and Saturn has been applying quiet pressure to understand. Chiron, at the same time in this space, brings an awareness to where something's been unresolved or maybe in need of attention. So as this full moon builds, the connection between these two areas will become clear. What's happening beneath the surface is directly influencing how you move through your daily life. Jupiter in Gemini in your 3rd house expands your mental activity, your communication, and your day-to-day interactions. There can be a lot of movement here, a lot of ideas, and a sense of constant input. But because we have a T-square here, there can be moments where your attention feels divided or overstimulated, especially if your internal state is not fully settled. Mercury is direct in Aquarius in the 11th house, aligned with the North Node and still very close to Mars. This brings clarity to your networks, your future direction, and the conversations you're having within your own community. Mercury also forms a trine back to Jupiter, which is square to Sun and Moon. So what you're thinking and what you're communicating actually begin to align more clearly with this alignment. The notes highlight a shift between personal expression and collective direction. South Node, Leo, 5th house, familiar patterns around creativity, attention, self-expression. And North Node in your 11th is asking for a broader perspective, one that's more connected to your community and to your shared vision with them. Black Moon Lilith in your 8th house in Scorpio is square to the nodes. There's deeper dynamics at play, shared energy, some kind of emotional intensity. But you see, she trines the Sun, Saturn, and Neptune, and she sextiles the Moon. So there's support for recognizing what's present without needing to react immediately. Venus is in Aries now in your 12th house, bringing subtle movement into your inner world. And at the same time, Venus is square to Pluto in your 9th. This might highlight deeper beliefs or perspectives that are influencing how you relate yourself and others. Mars is in Pisces in your 11th house, active alongside Mercury and the North Node, forming a sextile back to Uranus in your 1st. This creates an opening for change that connects your identity with your future direction. Uranus is also supporting Saturn and Neptune, and Pluto is also supporting that same cluster, suggesting that these shifts are part of a broader restructuring that's already underway for you. So as this full moon peaks, Aries rising, there's a clear awareness of how your inner state and your daily actions are connected. Somewhere you can see something that is aligned and also where the adjustments are needed. So it also leads to a point of decision, right? Continuing with the same routines and patterns will maintain your current trajectory, while adjusting how you manage your energy and engage with your inner world may shift how you move through your normal daily life. The next new moon, Chiron, in the 12th house, this is where the next new moon will be. And Venus has already passed over this Chiron. So we get a sense that there's a healing at a deeper level and that something is already softening or begin to change in that space. So here's your moment to observe both of your routines and your inner state and to recognize how closely they are actually connected. And from there, the next step becomes clear. There can be a lot of movement here, a lot of ideas, and a sense of constant input. Because Jupiter forms a T-square to both the sun and the moon, there can be moments where your attention feels divided, overstimulated, especially if your internal state's not fully settled. Mercury direct in your 11th house in Aquarius is aligned with the North Node, still very close to Mars. This brings clarity to your networks, your future direction, and the conversations that you are having within your own community. Mercury forms a trine to Jupiter, so what you're thinking and what you're communicating begins to align more clearly. And the nodes highlight a shift between personal expression and collective direction. Leo, 5th house. This reflects familiar patterns around creativity, attention, and self-expression. This 11th house energy is asking for a broader perspective, one that's more connected to community and shared vision. Black Moon Lilith in Scorpio in your 8th house forms a T-square to the nodes, bringing awareness to deeper dynamics involving trust, shared energy, and emotional intensity. With the moon forming a sextile to Lilith and Lilith trine to these Pisces placements, there's support for recognizing what is present without needing to react. Mars in your 11th house is activated alongside Mercury in the North Node, forming a sextile to Uranus and Taurus in your 1st house. What this does is creates an opening for change that connects your identity with your future. This also supports Saturn and Neptune, and Pluto does the same, suggesting that these shifts are part of a broader restructuring that's already underway. So Aries rising, as this full moon peaks, there is a clear awareness of how your inner state and your daily actions are connected. You can see where something is aligned and where adjustments are needed. But there's also a decision point here. Continue the same routines and patterns, maintain that current trajectory, or adjust how you manage your energy and engage with your inner world. That way you can shift how you move through your daily life. Chiron in the 12th house, recently being conjunct with Venus, shows us the tender space where things are beginning to change or to soften. So this is a moment to observe both your routines and your inner state and to recognize how closely they are connected. And from there, the next step becomes clear. Hello, Pisces rising. Oh my goodness, you're going through it, especially if you have a lot of Pisces placements natally. This full moon is activating your self and other axis, right? And you're probably already aware of all of the subtle energies that are flowing through your field right now. It's between you and the people you're engaging with. So the 7th house energy brings clear awareness to your relationships, interactions, and the dynamics that you're part of. You can see how things are functioning, what feels balanced, what feels supportive, and what feels off. And it's not even subtle. You're seeing the details literally in real time. And then over here, the sun in Pisces, joined by Chiron, Saturn, Neptune, all this attention's on you, your identity, your presence, how you're showing up. Neptune has shaped this space over time, sometimes making things feel open or even undefined. And Saturn's been asking for structure and accountability, while Chiron brings awareness to where you've been growing into yourself through painful experiences. So Pisces rising, as this full moon builds here, the connection becomes clear. What you're experiencing in your relationship is directly reflecting something about how you're showing up. Jupiter in Gemini in your 4th house is expanding that inner environment. This can show up through your home, your emotional baseline, and where you return for stability. But because there's this T-square, there can be a sense of movement or pressure between your internal space, your identity, and the relationship sectors. Mercury direct in your 12th house in Aquarius, aligned with the North Node, still close to Mars, this brings clarity to what's been happening beneath the surface. You may notice something you could not quite name is now easier to understand. With Mercury forming a trine to Jupiter, what is revealed internally can connect to your emotional foundation in a very clear way. The nodes highlight a shift between daily patterns and deeper awareness. South Node Leo 6th house reflects familiar routines and ways of managing your time and energy. North Node in Aquarius in your 12th points towards stepping back, observing and allowing a different level of awareness to emerge. And then we have the Black Moon Lilith in your 9th house, squaring the lunar nodes, strong truth and beliefs and perspective. Something here you feel clearly. It may not have been expressed yet, but the moon forms this sextile which can help that recognition. You don't need to force it. You just need to ask for awareness and it will come. That's what this trine and this sextile of Lilith to this energy means. Venus has just entered has been in your 1st house and now enters Aries, bringing movement into how you present yourself and how you engage with others. Venus also squares Pluto right at the cusp of your 10th and 11th house, and this will highlight the deeper dynamics related to your role, your visibility, or your place within larger structures. Mars, 12th house, Pisces. This is active alongside Mercury in the North Node, forming a sextile to Uranus and Taurus in your 2nd house. And it creates an opening for change. It connects what's happening internally with how you value yourself and what you're building. Uranus supports Saturn and Neptune, and Pluto does as well. This suggests that these changes are part of a larger structure that's already underway for you. So Pisces rising, as this full moon peaks, there's a clear awareness of how you're showing up and what is reflected back to you through others. There's also the decision point. You can continue engaging in the same relational patterns and maintaining the same version of yourself within them, or you can adjust how you're showing up and allow the dynamics to shift. Chiron in your 1st house shows that this is a process of personal growth. Venus has already given you insight into that, and you can feel the forward movement beginning. Pisces rising, you're seeing yourself clearly through what is being reflected directly back to you. And from here, the next step becomes clear. Hello, Aquarius. Hello, Aquarius rising. Uranus rules your chart, and this full moon is activating your 8th and 2nd houses. This brings attention to the relationship between what you hold as your own and what is shared, exchanged, or entangled with others. This 8th house energy here with the moon in Virgo, there's a clear awareness for you of these deeper dynamics. It shows up through the shared resources, through the emotional exchanges or energetic entanglements. You may notice what feels balanced, what feels unclear, and where something requires adjustment. This will show you exactly how things are functioning beneath the surface. Over here in your 2nd house, the sun is with Saturn and Neptune. Chiron's also here. This brings your personal value, your resources, and your sense of stability into focus. Neptune has influenced how you perceive value, sometimes making it fluid or even undefined, while Saturn has been working to establish structure and consistency. And in the meanwhile, Chiron brings awareness to where something in this area has been sensitive or even evolving. So as the full moon builds here into the 8th house, this is going to feel like the rock bottom. The connection between these two areas becomes clear. What you're holding as your own is directly connected to what you're sharing or caring with others. Jupiter in Gemini is in your 5th house, expanding your creativity, your joy, your fun. And there can be a lot of movement here, a lot of socializing, new ideas, creative input. And because Jupiter is forming a T-square to both, there can be moments where your attention feels divided, especially if something has not yet fully been expressed. Mercury's direct in your 1st house in Aquarius, aligned with the North Node, still very close to Mars, also in your 1st house. This is clarity to your identity, clarity to your direction and how you are presenting yourself. Mercury forms a trine to Jupiter in that 5th house. This brings clarity to your identity, your direction, and how you're presenting yourself. With Mercury forming that trine, you are realizing, with Mercury forming a trine to Jupiter, what you are creating can be communicated clearly and applied directly. The nodes highlight a shift between relational patterns and personal alignment. The South Node here in your 7th house reflects familiar dynamics in relationships, ways of engaging that may feel natural but repetitive, honestly. The North Node in Aquarius, 1st house, is asking for a clearer sense of the self and one that is less defined by others and more aligned with your own direction. Black Moon Lilith here in your 10th house, squaring the nodes, brings awareness to your role, your visibility, and how you're perceived. There may be something here that feels intense, unresolved, particularly in how you show up publicly or within larger structures. The moon forms a sextile to Lilith here, giving you an opportunity to recognize things more clearly. This trine to the sun as well. Venus has just entered your third house, entering the stars of Aries, bringing movement into your communication, your interactions, and how you are expressing yourself. At the same time, Venus is square to Pluto in your 12th, which might bring awareness to deeper patterns operating beneath the surface. These influence how you relate and communicate. Mars in Pisces in the first house. This is active alongside Mercury in the North Node. It forms a sextile to Uranus, also in your third house. This creates an opening for change that connects your identity with how you think and communicate. Uranus also supports Saturn and Neptune. Pluto supports this stellium as well. And it suggests that the changes you are going through are part of a broader restructuring that is already underway. Aquarius Rising, as this full moon peaks in Virgo, there's a clear awareness of how your personal value, your shared dynamics, and your sense of self are interacting. You can see where something is aligned and where adjustments are needed. There's also a point of decision here. Continuing with the same relational patterns will maintain what's already in place, but adjusting how you define yourself and what you hold as your own may shift those dynamics over time. Chiron hanging out in your second house shows that this process involves healing in your sense of value, and Venus has already gone over this space, so you have some intuitive sense of what is shifting and what can be integrated. Aquarius Rising, this is a moment to recognize what is yours, what is shared, and how you are choosing to engage with both. And from there, the next step becomes clear. Hello, beautiful Capricorn Rising. This full moon is activating your 9th and 3rd houses. This brings attention to what you are thinking day to day, and also how that connects you to your larger beliefs and direction in life. The Virgo moon in your 9th house, here there is a clear awareness of your perspective, your understanding, and the meaning that you're assigning to your experiences. You might notice what feels coherent, what feels grounded, and where something is no longer fully aligning. This moon highlights your worldview in a very practical way. Across from that, the sun is in Pisces, joined by Chiron, and connected to Saturn and Neptune still. This brings your daily thoughts, communication, your immediate environment into focus. Neptune here has been influencing how you interpret what's happening around you, sometimes allowing things to remain open or undefined, or even illusory. Saturn's been working to bring structure and clarity to the way that you think. Chiron, meanwhile, is bringing awareness to where something in that communication or understanding has been evolving and healing. So as this full moon builds for you, the connection between these two areas becomes clear. The way you're thinking on a daily basis is directly shaping the beliefs you hold about your own life. Jupiter is in the 6th house, forming a square here, expanding your daily activities, work routines, how you work. And this T-square means that there's a sense of movement or pressure between that internal state and the broader perspective, right? Mercury's direct in Aquarius and also close to Mars in the North Node, bringing clarity to your values, your resources, and what you're building. Mercury forms a trine to that Jupiter. Remember, that's squared to your lunar nodes. And this brings clarity to your values. What you're understanding can be grounded into something tangible here. The nodes highlight a shift between deeper entanglements, though, and personal stability, activating 2nd and 8th house. The South Node reflects familiar patterns around these shared resources, emotional intensity, or even reliance on other people, while the North Node here in your 2nd house is asking for a clearer sense of your own value and what you are establishing independently. Black Moon Lilith in the 11th house squares the nodes, bringing awareness to your networks, your community, your future direction. There may be something here that feels intense or revealing, especially in how you're engaging within the larger group. The sextile that the moon forms with Lilith here, and the trine that she forms to Sun, Saturn, and Neptune, makes it easier to recognize anything that comes up from the nodal square without distortion. Venus is in your 3rd house, has just entered Aries, and this brings movement, while at the same time she's square to Pluto in your 12th house. This highlights deeper patterns operating beneath the surface that influence how you think and how you communicate. Mars in Pisces in your 2nd house is active alongside Mercury in the North Node, forming a sextile to Uranus and Taurus in the 4th house. Here. This creates an opening for change that connects your values with your internal environment. Uranus also supports Saturn and Neptune, so does Pluto from your 12th house. It means that these changes are part of a broader restructuring that's already been going on. As this full moon peaks, Capricorn Rising, There's a clear awareness of how your thoughts, your beliefs, and your sense of value are interacting. You can see where something is aligned and where the adjustments are needed. And this is the point of decision. Continue with the same patterns of thinking and engaging. That's going to maintain your current direction. But if you adjust how you interpret your experiences, it might shift how you move forward. Chiron in the third house plays into this process, involving growth in how you think and communicate. You've already gotten a clue to that as Venus just completed her conjunction with Chiron. So Capricorn Rising, this is a moment to observe your thoughts carefully, to recognize how they're shaping your direction. From there, the next step becomes clear. Hello, Sagittarius Rising. Jupiter rules your chart, and this moon is affecting your 4th and 10th house axis. This brings attention to the relationship between your inner foundation and your external direction. Moon Virgo 10th house, clear awareness of your role, your responsibilities, how you're showing up in the world. You might even notice what's not working, what is working, what's effective, and where something needs to be changed. This moon is going to highlight your visibility in a very practical and observable way. Over here in your 4th house, though, is Sun in Pisces with Chiron and Saturn and Neptune, bringing your inner environment into focus. Your home, your emotional baseline, and the space you return to for stability, they're all part of this. Neptune has influenced how this space is felt over time, sometimes making it fluid or undefined, and Saturn has been working to establish structure and consistency. Chiron brings awareness to where something in this area has been evolving, healing, and needing attention. As this full moon builds, the connection between these two areas becomes clear. What is happening within you is directly influencing how you show up externally. Jupiter in Gemini in your 7th house is expanding your relationships, your interactions, and the people you're engaging with. So there can be increased communication, new perspectives, or a sense of movement within your relational field. Jupiter T-squaring both Sun and Moon means there can be moments where your attention is pulled between those inner needs and your external responsibilities, or the input or expectations of others. Mercury is direct in Aquarius in your 3rd house, aligned with the North Node, still very close to Mars, bringing clarity to your thinking, your communication, and how you're processing your environment. With Mercury also forming a trine back to Jupiter, conversations can be especially revealing right now, even though you're, especially with the clarity to your thinking, your communication, and how you're processing what's going on. So whatever is said or exchanged can help you understand both yourself and others way more clearly. The nodes are highlighting the 3rd and the 9th house axis. The North Node is also close to Mercury and close to Mars. This brings clarity to your thinking, your communication, how you're processing your environment. Conversations are especially revealing. This is asking you to take a different approach, one that is more observational and responsive to what's actually present. Black Moon Lilith in Scorpio in the 12th house forms a T-square to these lunar nodes. This is an awareness to deeper patterns operating beneath the surface. There may be something here that's been present but not fully acknowledged. The moon forms a sextile here, so there is an opportunity to clearly recognize that which has not been acknowledged. Venus has just entered Aries and has just completed her conjunction with Chiron. So whatever's evolving or healing here, you have an intuitive sense of what that's about your identity, how you express yourself. And Mars in Pisces in the 3rd house here forms a sextile to Uranus in Taurus in your 5th house. This creates an opening for change that connects your thinking with your expression. Uranus also supports Saturn and Neptune, and so does Pluto from your 1st house. This suggests that there are changes that are part of a broader restructuring that's already underway for all of us. So Sagittarius Rising, as this full moon peaks for you, there's a clear awareness of how your inner state and your external role and your relationships are all interacting. You can actually see where something is aligned and where adjustments are absolutely needed. So the decision point is clear. Continuing with the same internal patterns and relationship dynamics will maintain that current trajectory for you. However, adjusting how you respond, both internally and in your interactions, may shift how you move forward. Chiron in your 4th house shows that this process involves healing with your inner environment and how that shift can take form. So Sagittarius Rising, this is your moment to recognize how your inner foundation and your relationships are shaping your external path. And from here, the next step becomes clear. Okay, Scorpio and Ophiuchus Rising. I put you guys together for these rising readings because your star field is the same. They're not actually cut in half here. Scorpio is Ophiuchus and Ophiuchus is Scorpio. This whole part of the sky is the same. And we have a lot to talk about. Your full moon is right at the cusp of your 10th and 11th house, and the sun is at the cusp of your 4th and 5th house. So the relationship between your public life, participation in larger spaces, and that inner foundation and creative expression. Here, you're going to have a clear awareness of your role, your visibility, how you're engaging with your networks and community. You will notice what is not working, what feels aligned, and where something requires change. So the moon will show you how your contributions are being received and how effectively you are operating within these spaces. In your 4th, 5th house cusp here, you have Sun with Chiron in the 5th, and then Saturn and Neptune and Mars and Mercury all in your 4th house. So this brings your inner environment, your creative expression into focus, right? Neptune has influenced this space over time, making it feel very fluid, very difficult to define. Saturn's been working to establish structure and consistency in this space, while Chiron has been bringing awareness to something in your personal or creative life that's been healing and evolving. So as this full moon swells and builds, the connection between these areas becomes clear. What's happening within you and what you are creating personally is directly influencing how you show up publicly and within your community. The Gemini 8th house Jupiter is expanding your awareness of shared resources, deeper exchanges, and the dynamics that exist beneath the surface. There can be increased communication or movement in these areas. But because there's a T-square here, there can be moments where your attention's pulled between your internal needs and your external responsibilities, especially with the deeper entanglements. Mercury is direct on the cusp of your 3rd and 4th house, connected to the North Node, very close to Mars, bringing clarity to your thinking, your communication, and your internal processing. Mercury also forms a trine back to Jupiter, so what you're understanding can connect directly to these deeper dynamics in a very clear and practical way. The lunar nodes highlight the shift between belief systems and daily awareness. The South Node in your 9th house reflects familiar perspectives or interpretations that might feel natural but fixed. The North Node in Aquarius in 3rd house is asking for a more observational and responsive approach to what is actually present. Black Moon Lilith is squaring these energies right on your ascendant. This brings strong awareness to your identity and how you're actually showing up in the world. You can absolutely directly recognize what feels authentic and what doesn't. The moon forms a sextile to Black Moon Lilith, while she forms a trine to Sun and Saturn. So whatever is being battled here or figured out with the tension to the lunar nodes, this alignment with Moon and Sun allows Lilith to make that clear. So you don't really need to force it. Venus has entered your Aries in your 5th house, and this brings movement to your creative expression, your enjoyment, and what you're choosing to engage with personally. At the same time, Venus is square to Pluto in your 2nd house in Capricorn, which might highlight deeper dynamics related to value, resources, and what you're holding on to. Mars in your 4th house is active alongside Sun and Saturn in the broader Pisces cluster here, and it forms a sextile to Uranus in the 6th house, creating an opening for change that connects your inner environment with your daily routines and how you're managing that energy. Uranus also supports Saturn and Neptune with a sextile, and Pluto also supports the Pisces cluster, suggesting that these changes are part of a broader restructuring that we are all undergoing. As this full moon peaks for you, there's a clear awareness of how your inner world, your creative expression, and your role within larger spaces are interacting. And you can see where something is aligned and where adjustments are needed. So this is the decision point. Scorpio, Ophiuchus Rising, continuing in the same patterns, will maintain your current trajectory. Adjusting how you're engaging internally and how you're expressing yourself may shift how you actually show up in the world. That 5th house Chiron shows that this process involves growth in your creative and personal expression. Recently connect to Venus, you probably have an intuitive sense of what's beginning to take form here. So this is your moment to recognize how what is happening within you is reshaping how you're showing up in the world. And from there, the next step becomes crystal clear. Hello, Libra Rising. You are last but not least. Venus typically rules your chart. However, I really like Mercury to be the ruler of your chart. Your ascendant is the pathway to the underworld. It connects the living and the dead. It's a very incredible sign to have rising. This full moon's activating your 5th and 11th house, the axis of radiance and resonance. And there's a clear awareness of your networks, your community, and how you're engaging with these spaces. You might notice what feels aligned, what's functioning well, where something needs to change. This moon is showing how you're participating and what participation is actually producing for you. Across the way here, you have in your 5th house, the sun joined by Saturn, Neptune, Mars. Chiron is really close by in the 6th house. A lot of energy here. Neptune's been influencing how you feel things, sometimes making it very fluid or undefined, how you create. And Saturn's been working to find the structure and the consistency within the mist. Mars adds activity and momentum, so you continue to try things, to try new things. Chiron brings awareness to where something in your expression or daily integration has been healing or evolving. As this full moon builds for you, the connection between these two areas becomes clear. What you're creating personally is directly influencing how you show up within your community and the spaces that you are a part of. Jupiter, right here at the cusp of your 8th and 9th house, expands your awareness of shared resources, beliefs, underlying dynamics. There can be movement here, communication, and increased awareness of what is being shared or carried. Because Jupiter forms this T-square, there can be moments where your attention is pulled between your personal expression and your external networks, as well as the deeper exchanges. Mercury direct in Aquarius in your 4th house, aligned with the North Node, still close to Mars. This brings clarity to your internal environment, to your home, to your emotional foundation. Mercury also trines back to Jupiter. So what you're understanding internally can connect clearly within these deeper dynamics that Jupiter is expanding. The nodes highlight a 4th and 10th house axis, bringing clarity to your internal environment, your home, and your emotional foundation. While the North Node in Aquarius in your 4th house is asking for a stronger foundation, one that's internally aligned and less dependent on external validation. While Leo South Node in your 10th house reflects familiar patterns around visibility, recognition, and how you've been showing up publicly. Black Moon Lilith in Scorpio in the 1st house T-squares this energy, bringing direct awareness to your identity and how you're showing up in the world. You're going to see clearly what is authentic and what isn't. That moon forms a sextile to Lilith. Lilith also trines Pisces placement, so that recognition can be and should be steady and grounded. Venus now enters Aries after interacting with Chiron, so you have an intuitive sense of where the deeper patterns in your routines in daily life need to evolve or to change. Mars in Pisces in the 5th house. This is active alongside Saturn, Neptune, forms a sextile to Uranus in your 7th. This creates an opening for change that connects your creative expression with your relationships. Uranus also supports Saturn and Neptune, as well as Pluto, who also supports this stellium here. So this highlights a deeper pattern that might be already restructuring for all of us, and it's affecting your 3rd, 5th, and 7th house. So Libra Rising, as this full moon peaks, there's a clear awareness of how your personal expression, your participation in larger spaces, and your internal foundation are interacting. You can see where something is aligned and where adjustments are needed. There's also a decision point here for you. Continuing the same patterns will maintain your current trajectory, and adjusting how you're expressing yourself and where you're placing your energy may shift how you engage with your community. The 6th house Chiron shows that this process involves growth in how you integrate your creativity into your daily life. And Venus has already given you a sense of how that should play out in the coming lunation. So Libra Rising, here's your moment to recognize how what you're creating is shaping your place within the spaces you're a part of. And from there, the next step becomes clear. And for those beautiful souls still with me, welcome back for this quick outro. Please don't forget to like the video. If this content has helped you, please share it. I'm feeling a little bit skittish with the online platform, so the more we can spread the message to, the better I'll feel, so that I don't have to worry about losing one platform with all of our content and community. So I thank you so much for being here. I thank you so much for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. Namaste, much love, and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you.